I hope you're having a great afternoon today. I'm just finished college myself. It's been a long old day. And this program here in particular, we're going to be focusing on politics and popular culture. So I really do hope you enjoy this. If you're only tuning in now, you're very welcome to the show. This is the first show of airing it on Mars FM. So, hello, you're very welcome to the first program of Airing It, broadcasting live from Mars FM. My name is Ben King, and I'm your host of this show. Whether you're on a commute home from college or listening in from the bedroom, I will be keeping you informed of the important topics and bring you some light-hearted content from popular culture along the way. Coming up in the show, I will discuss the new COVID restrictions impacting nighttime economies and the effects they will have on people socialising in bars, hospitality and nightclubs. Then I will be bringing you into the Christmas spirit by talking about Christmas markets, which are a popular visitor attraction that gears us into the festive season and is somewhat of a tradition of mine in my family that I like to do religiously every Christmas because I love that build up to Christmas. It's something I get excited about. It's something that brings everyone together in our house, and it's something I appreciate very much. So whether it is Christmas markets that you're into or whether it's putting up a Christmas tree, it's up to yourselves, to be honest. For me, it's Christmas markets, and that's something I do every year, and I really can't wait for this weekend to go to one of the particular markets in Belfast, which draw huge crowds every year. But firstly, as always, on this programme, we go to the news headlines across the 32 counties. So we hope in airing it that we inform all listeners of the news headlines of the week and what's striking most today as well, and causing a lot of debate and conversation around some of the topics that are discussed across the news broadcasters like UTV, BBC, RT, Virgin Media, etc., etc. So, first up in the news headlines today, we have the Northern Ireland Executive from Stormont has reintroduced the call to work from home this winter. Health Minister Robin Swann has reiterated the calls after a surge in cases. Retail Northern Ireland has warned working from home could damage the retail sector. In other news, 4,500 Gardaí were assaulted over the past 5 years, according to the Department of Justice. This is an increase of 57%, with over 1,000 happening last year at the height of the pandemic, when the streets were obviously quieter. The Garda Representative Association is calling for mandatory sentences for those convicted of assaulting frontline workers, in addition to mandatory sentences for those who are involved in disruption and destruction against those who are carrying out their duties on the front line. The Teachers' Union have called that growing evidence among primary school schools children have. The Teachers' Union have called on the government to provide extra resources with regards to the rise in the COVID cases that are affecting many children across the country. They're saying that as a result of the contact tracing that has been axed since September, has meant that there's a lack of integrity and there's a lack of data to support isolation and protecting the most vulnerable in the staff and student sectors. Also, a woman who has sexually been abused by former Ireland and Ulster rugby player David Tweed has urged survivors of abuse to tell someone and remove power from their abuser. Tweed's stepdaughter said she found healing the louder she spoke out as a young 10 and 11-year-old when she first spoke out. So again, it's important to speak out if you are being abused or know someone who is being abused, according to the stepdaughter of Tweed. But first up, since the midnight closing of late night venues from Thursday the 18th of November, which was announced last week to curb COVID cases, which have closed all night hospitality and nightclubs. This has meant normal opening hours only returned on October 22nd, which has shocked and angered many in the hospitality and nightlife sector. but has confused many of the general public who may have rescheduled their wedding party, for example, or after college or work, drinks may have been limited or rescheduled earlier. So, on that note, let's kind of talk about that in particular, the closing of venues quite early in terms of popular culture and our nightlife culture that we tend to appreciate very much in Ireland. Many people who go out on a night out don't expect to be home by 12 o'clock. Many people tend to go out quite late. People tend to go out 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So when you're expected to be out of the pubs by 12, you're only really going to get 3 hours of entertainment and your money's worth as well when you're having to pay in maybe a tenner to get in to the place in the first place. So I don't know. It probably has caused a bit of confusion among people. Like, they got that big announcement on the October the 22nd that, you know, for those who are vaccinated, there is some kind of freedom involved in that. But for most people, it's not ideal. I think it's unfair, in my opinion. I think people should be given a lot more time to go out and enjoy themselves after the tough year that we have been in. And not to mention the businesses have been struggling and not able to financially support themselves throughout the pandemic. They have had to rely on financial supports from the government, but is this realistic and long term? I don't think so. And do I want to support businesses when they're not opening? No, I don't. I prefer them to be opening and making money, and like everyone else, I expect to go out to work, make money themselves rather than relying on government subsidies to support them. It's something that quite bothers me. It's something that has been brought up again. The craziness and the stupidity of some of the government announcements that were announced there last year during the summer. I think it was like a €9 meal, substantial meal with every drink that you bought. So you can't buy a drink without the €9 meal. That was last year's restrictions, but this year we have closing times at 12 o'clock. So it has led to some really hilarious comments on social media under the announcement of the restrictions by Micheál Martin and the government, which arguably have a very difficult job. In fairness, I feel sorry for people who, like Matt Hancock in England, Robin Swan in Northern Ireland, and Stephen Donnelly in the Republic of Ireland, who have to announce these difficult measures to protect the public. But some of the measures are a bit, I think, stupid in a way. I don't really get how 12 o'clock, going out at 11 and going out at 12 makes a big difference in terms of catching COVID. That's my opinion, and my opinion alone. Many people may share that opinion, but that's up to themselves. I'm not criticizing the government too much, but that's up to you to decide that. But I just think a lot more lenience should be provided to the hospitality industry, who have suffered the most during the pandemic, and I don't think targeting them alone, and young people in particular, who are the ones who tend to go out and enjoy themselves late in the evenings. Students go out Monday to Thursday, and when they're expected to close, then what does that do for their social life, their mental health? I don't think it's quite positive. So, but leaving it that, some of the headlines that I did read out was one particular one on Gardaí who have been assaulted, the rise of 57%. I think that's quite starking. in terms of the statistics there that were released by RTE. Um, does that question the amount of protection they have, or does it question public trust and public um, behavior towards those in authority? I was watching a documentary on, I think, Virgin Media, and it was called Antisocial Ireland, and it clearly highlights the culture and the change in societal habits towards those in authority, and particular those in the front line, such as the Gardaí, who were quite paramount in protecting those most vulnerable during COVID. They faced the most violence during COVID, and I think that was quite unfair. And I don't think people have as much respect for the guards when they're out doing their job, which many people in college or leaving school might consider. It's something which is a highly thought of career, and it's definitely something that I would clap my hands to. So well done to anyone who does consider a job in the police, the guards, etc., any frontline job, to be honest, in the emergency services, worthy of a bullet bus, to be honest. Um, but yeah, there's so many things you could talk about in terms of the headlines. I only picked out 4 headlines from each of the main news broadcasters. There's many that struck me throughout the day, and as you're all in your commute home, probably, whether you're lying in bed and chilling out, I do hope you get something informative from this broadcast, and that you picked up some interesting facts along the way. But all them amazing facts and something to bring some curiosity to the mind are great and that. But we are facing Christmas, and we try to look forward to the positives and not the negatives that have came through the news, and some of the COVID restrictions, which are not so appetizing when it's coming up to Christmas. People like to look to the festivity in a positive light. So I will move on to the Christmas markets now. Christmas markets, quite a natural scene during Christmas across Ireland, and they've actually become quite popular as well. I don't remember them when I was young, as a child. I don't remember ever going to a Christmas market before. I think they've really picked up, and they've brought in a lot of local producers, farmers, etc., who have decided to start up their own markets in their local villages and towns on a smaller scale than the big ones like Dublin, Galway, Belfast, and I'm sure Cork have one as well. I'm not too sure, but someone can correct me on that, I'm sure. So this year I'm actually going to attend the Belfast one. So I'm looking forward to attending that this weekend with my family. We tend to go every year to a Christmas market, and last year we actually didn't bother going at all. I think it was actually cancelled last year. We usually stay in a hotel and spend time with the family and go shopping, etc., etc. That's kind of the warming Christmas festivities that we do. One of the things that I like about the Christmas markets, not so much the mulled wine. I know the mulled wine's so appealing at Christmas, but I just can't drink mulled wine. It's just, the red wine is just not for me, to be honest. I've tried it many a times, and it's I still feel sick afterwards. One of the things that I do like at a Christmas market, and I don't know if they're Christmassy or not, but Dutch pancakes. If they're at your Christmas market, do give them a try. They're absolutely amazing, so they are, and a bit of chocolate over the top of them. You just can't beat that. So they're one thing. There was other things. There was like German sausages, and German burgers and stuff like that. So I think they had horse burgers at one point. But yeah, they're all quite nice as well. But one of the things I do go for is the chocolate fudges, the Dutch pancakes, and the fresh cheese that are on display. My mother tends to go for like the clothing items and the gifts, stuff like that. But yeah, so if you're ever going to Christmas markets, do consider the array of food choices from across the world as well, that are on offer, because it's not common that you come across the availability of European food um, so much. I do like to try other foods, and I think Christmas market kind of pressures me into trying something out of the ordinary. But yeah, if there's anything else on Christmas that you do enjoy, yeah, it's awfully good to express that in one way or another to our Mars FM social media accounts. Just give it a like and a follow on the social media, and just give us a comment on how you thought of Christmas scenes, the festivities, and what you'd encourage more of if you were out trying to gear up for Christmas. Just let me know. It's Ben on airing it. So if you ever want to give a comment in, let me know for next week when I go to air, and I might talk about some more Christmassy stuff. Or if you've any other suggestions of what you'd like me to talk about, please do get in touch. I'd very much like to hear your suggestions or comments on that. Of course, keep in touch with us on Mars FM and follow us on Instagram and all social media platforms. So today I was just hoping to go through, like every other week, I will go through all headlines that I found on social media and on the main news headlines that come out daily. Um, I will then filter through and provide you with some popular cultural stuff, and maybe pick up on some news stories that I have read and I feel that they are needed to discuss, and there are some important stuff there that I did like to reiterate emphasis on, such as the call for extra protection. And on that note, if people actually do support, I don't know, protective measures for guards. I don't know if tasers were a thing before, but some of the things that are widely used across the UK, they regularly use tasers, and they use them for the public order units. I know in the guards and armed response units. What do you feel like? The guards should have tasers. I don't know. I'll maybe ask that another time, but I think that's worthy of a discussion on itself. I'm just picking up the statistics and information from the news headlines, but that is a worthy discussion, I think, to have on its own. But today I just wanted to focus on the midnight closing, which I thought was quite ludicrous. Um, so yeah, I'm very happy that people have tuned in and joined me on the first program of airing it, and I hope to bring you more exciting stories and some worthy notes of discussion for our popular program um, later on in the program. So thank you very much for joining me on airing it.